The Sea of Trees is about an American man played by Matthew McConaughey who travels to the infamous Aokigahara forest, a huge mysterious forest at the base of Japan's Mount Fuji, a site known for the numerous suicides that are committed there. He encounters a Japanese man played by Ken Watanabe who has also lost the will to live and has come here for the very same reason, basically to end his life. Together, these two men manage to find some common ground and set out on a journey of self-reflection and survival in this dangerous forest. Oh, and Naomi Watts is Matthew McConaughey's wife, who hasn't come with him on this trip. I wonder why. Take a wild guess, everyone. We'll get back to this just in a second. This film has gotten some pretty dismal reception, unfortunately. It has been booed and laughed at the Cannes Film Festival, which is probably one of the worst things that can happen to your film. And I think this is in no small part thanks to the extremely high expectations people have come to have when it comes to Gus Van Sant's films, a writer-director mostly known for some pretty stellar work, even though he has had his fair share of occasional hiccups during his career, like the abysmal Psycho remake with Vince Vaughn, for example. But if you look closer, 3 out of the 6 of his most critically acclaimed movies weren't even written by him, and that includes his 2 most well-known and commercially successful films, Good Will Hunting and Milk. Not that that should be considered like a golden rule or anything, because this film, which is considered to be his worst, isn't written by him either. It's written by a guy called Chris Sparling, whose previous work as writer-director includes a couple of horror films I haven't seen, apparently they're not very good, and Buried. That's an excellent thriller. It stars Ryan Reynolds as this guy trapped in a wooden coffin. An excellent Hitchcockian thriller, highly recommend that shit. And the reason I'm saying all of this is because I am one of those asshole elitists who thinks that the screenwriter is more important than the director. At least in some cases I think that's true, especially in the case of a film like this, which is mostly dominated by dialogue, by conversation, mostly dominated by the part that's written more than anything else. You would probably think that this movie is pretty terrible. Well, in my humble opinion, it's not that bad. I mean, I think it's pretty watchable. If for nothing else, at least the performances are okay. Matthew McConaughey definitely doesn't disappoint. And I think what's truly worthwhile about the film is the cinematography, is the way they capture this very lush and beautiful forest. And it's quite ironic how they managed to make the forest feel much more character-like than the actual characters. The actual characters who are very underdeveloped, very underwritten, very one-dimensional. The forest actually has a lot more going for it than the characters. Now, in a better movie, maybe we could have considered this to be intentional, because this is a story about characters being stuck in a rut, who can't find their way out of their miserable situation, both literally and figuratively, who are basically dying or already dead on the inside. But here, I really don't think that's the case. I mean, this film feels way too awkward and way too clumsy for us to be able to consider that anything that maybe in a smarter movie might be considered to be mistakes done on purpose, like done intentionally to play with your expectations. Here, I really don't think that they are just misguided attempts. I don't think they were clever enough to take advantage of this story and this setting, and I don't think they were able to take this film's allegorical nature to its full potential, even though, ironically, that's exactly what the film seems very desperate in trying to achieve. It's also very frustrating how the film manages to be extremely predictable and extremely unpredictable almost at the same time. I'm going to give you an example. Remember what I said in the beginning about Naomi Watts' character and wonder why she isn't present in the main narrative? Well, because in very stereotypical fashion, there is also another narrative thread that's being presented to us simultaneously, involving Matthew McConaughey and Naomi Watts. They are this unhappy couple who receive the shock of their lives when they find out that she has some sort of disease, cancer I think it's what it is, but of course, since we already know that Matthew McConaughey will go to the forest to kill himself, it is pretty clear as day that Naomi Watts doesn't survive. So any tension or suspense or just plain anticipation or the element of surprise this plotline could have had is completely thrown out the window in the most unexpected way fucking possible. And the major achievement in total fuckuppery is just how she dies. She survives the operation, her condition stabilizes, all that is left is for her to be moved to another hospital. Matthew McConaughey is obviously happy, he wants to be by his wife's side, he follows the ambulance in his car while they talk on the phone. Okay, weird, but whatever. But the whole scene is constructed in a way during which I was like, what the fuck is up with this scene? Something's not right. Oh, okay, I know. The ambulance is going to be hit by a car and that's how she's going to die. And of course, that's exactly what happens. Ken Watanabe, unfortunately, is the most wasted actor here, as his character by the end of the film appears to be nothing more than just a figment of McConaughey's imagination, an illusion, a part of his psyche, a representation and manifestation of hope, his own self in a way, because this guy goes to the forest to find himself, but he finds another person, but that other person is basically himself. Fuck, it's cheesy, it's corny, it's confusing, it's illogical, it doesn't work. Oh boy, I'm really sorry. This film was really well intentioned, I can tell that, and it had potential, I guess, but it's not very good. I said in the beginning that I think it's pretty watchable, and I think it is, but I don't recommend this, folks. I know people have been wanting me to do negative reviews, so here is one. But thanks for watching my review as always. I will see you later with other reviews. Until then, take care, folks, and goodbye.